this computer. I'm now clicking to go into live on Facebook. So from here, I am actually looking into the Face group page. I can't see you guys at the moment. I'm way off into the Facebook group. And while it takes its time to get there, any more questions? Everybody taking a nice deep breath?
We need to use our keyboard at all, by the way?
No.
Lindsay?
No. Just speak.
Okay.
Right. I'm clicking share in a group. And then, yes, I'm going to put the group's name. Now, Network of Women. I'm clicking next. Okay. Just waiting for it to get there. I'll tell you when, because again, I've got to go and click more stuff. Well, let's enjoy.
We do a happy dance.
Yeah, just think of it as like sitting in front of people and just talking about what we know. When this gets itself up, the joy, it's being very slow, but we'll manage. There we go. Right.
You know, I can't see Sarah. I can't see. I've only got 4 people at the top of my screen.
Who can you not see?
But everybody will come. I can't see Sarah. Sorry, it's Sarah. I can see Sarah Fisher.
Make your screen bigger, Lorna. Oh, are you on an iPad, Lorna?
No, I'm actually on. I've managed to get my Airbnb hosts.
Go to the top right-hand corner and make the screen bigger. If the screen's too small, it'll only show 4.
Is that what it is? So it's just the bit with the 2 squares. I just click on that. I don't want to mess anything up at this stage.
Does it say speak with you next to it?
No.
I can only see 4 as well, but I'm just going to leave it. Yeah.
Yes, I can only see 4, but I'm on my phone, so
yeah, I'm on my phone too.
As soon as Sarah talks, it'll come up anyway. So
yeah.
All right. I don't want to mess it up at this stage.
We'll be all right anyhow. Yeah, just so long we can hear the voices. Right. I'm going to click go live, and it will go live the second I click. So that's happening. Clicking go live now. So we'll be coming up quite soon. Right, it's live now now. So hello everybody in this wonderful, wonderful group. And this is something new that is, I'm not even sure if anybody else actually does this. So bear with us because we are all very, in fact, one of us is even a virgin for Facebook Live, so we'll let you guess which. Oh, too late now.
Very shy one.
The panel of now members, and this is going to be happening every month, and it's now members who are experts in their field, and we're going to have a discussion on that topic. So this today is going to be on parenting. Now, you don't actually have to be a parent or a carer to be able to implement any of these methods, because all these methods that these lovely ladies use are very gentle, are natural, how we ourselves are supposed to be. So without any further ado, or if anybody's got any questions, pop them into the comments box. If we can't see them, because this is Facebook, if I can't see them, we will answer them after. So let's start. Ooh, big deep breath. Everybody take a big deep breath. We ready? Maria. Now I know that.
Hello.
Sorry. Oh, by the way, there might be a bit of a time lag between us and Zoom, but again, that's actually quite normal. Maria, I know that you have worked as an occupational therapist for 30 years, haven't you? And
yes,
you come in contact with children every day of your job. Tell us a little bit about that and how you actually came into that profession.
okay. Well, I always wanted to work in the caring professions. I was always interested in doing something where I was meeting with people and enabling people, and that's how I got into occupational therapy. I read about it and I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting, trying to enable people to basically achieve their potential and be the best that they can be. So I did my occupational therapy training in Ireland, and then I came over to the UK. And I think when I was working with people, I found that it was children that I got the most, that I enjoyed working with the most. I always enjoyed working with children. So that's why, although I did do some work with older people, which I enjoyed as well, I just felt that children was more my calling. I found it was something that I was very much drawn to. Yeah.
Yes. So in your everyday work, what is it that what methods do you use with the children?
Yeah, well, basically, occupational therapy is about enabling people to participate in everyday life. So the children that I see may have some difficulties with their motor coordination skills. So, for example, they may have difficulties with dressing themselves, doing buttons, doing zips, tying their shoelaces, using cutlery. It could be to do with writing. It could be to do with, they're not very good maybe at catching a ball, or they struggle in PE at school. So it's these sort of things, like everyday activities that children do, play and, looking after themselves, getting dressed in the morning from going to bed at night, all those things that they're able to do. Some children need help with that. They're not able to do the things that, maybe your neurotypical child can do. They have problems organizing themselves, or they have problems with their motor skills. So what occupational therapists do is basically break down these activities into smaller components and teach them the skills that they need to be able to do, to be able to achieve and to be able to participate. So that's what I do. Yeah.
And you must find that.
And also.
No.
Yes, and I was just going to say, and also a big part of it is enabling the parents, giving them strategies on how to help the child to achieve the potential, because the parent is key. The parent is key to the child being able to develop the skill, because they need to practice these things.
Absolutely.
Practicing it, and it needs to be carry over at home. Yeah. Yeah. And also working in schools as well, because it's very important to link in with the teacher and with people at school as well. So I go out to schools and meet with education staff to give them strategies for the classroom, because the child's in school all day. So what sort of things does the child need to be able to do, to be able to manage, or what strategies can the teacher do to help them to be able to participate in their learning, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and because the parent or parents and teachers actually know the way to be able to help the child, then their confidence will come over to the child, presumably.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And it might be just a case of, adapting a task, making it and finding an easier way to do a task, and breaking it down into smaller steps, or giving them maybe a piece of equipment that they might be able to use to help them to do something. For example, some children, have real difficulties writing, but maybe they have all, really good ideas, and they get frustrated because they're not getting it down on paper. And it might be that we say, can you give the child extra time to get something down? Can you give them a pencil grip? Can you give them a writing slope? Or for some children, it might be, well, can they go on the computer and do typing? And for a lot of children, some of the older children, maybe from, maybe sort of 6 or 7 onwards, they can develop keyboard skills, and often they can be able to produce much more written work using the computer than they can with a pencil. So they're able to evidence what they know because it can be very frustrating for them that they're not able to get their ideas down on paper. Yeah,
absolutely. Excellent, super. It's good to know that there are those facilities out there that a parent or carer can use. They're not on their own if a child can't dress themselves, for example. Excellent.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Thank you very much, Maria, for that introduction. Even though I've known you for probably going on 18 months or so now, I actually didn't know what your job. I just know you as a flower essence practitioner, but we'll go into that later. Sarah, NVR. Now,
this is me, Sarah, isn't it? Not Sarah Parks.
This is you, Sarah. Yes. Yeah, we're going to have this. We're going to have this fun time because we have two beautiful Sarahs here. And funnily enough, Sarah Parks said to me, "What we should have is a panel with all the same names. For example, all Sarahs." That would be.
The best name.
That'd be so confusing. I tell you, it'd be fun. Yeah. So Sarah Fisher, do tell us exactly what is NVR, because you're a practitioner in that, aren't you? And tell us your journey, how you.
Yeah. So NVR stands for non-violent resistance, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it really is about resisting any form of challenging behaviour without recourse to violence. So it originally came about, actually Mandela used it, Gandhi used it, people like that, to not kind of respond to violence even whenever provocation was happening. And it was then adapted to work within family settings. It's now used in a whole range of different settings. I've used it in businesses, in schools. It's used by the Israeli army, it's used by the police, actually working with gangs and trying to get kids out of gangs and that kind of stuff. So it works in every single setting you can think of that's based on relationships, which is what I love about it. So it is based on relationships, and I've got mums who are NVRing their husbands when their husbands aren't quite parenting the way they want them to, which I absolutely love. It's brilliant. To be fair, I've got a few dads doing it with the wives as well, to be fair. Do it both ways. And it's really about building relationships. So it's helping the parents, particularly if they are struggling with challenging behaviour, to manage that behaviour, reduce it, and in many cases stop it completely, and build really strong connected relationships with their kids. So I came to it because I have a gorgeous adopted son. He's 12 now. He was seven when he moved in. Yeah, I must get that right. And he was 7 when he moved in, and it was really, really tough. Really tough. And I did what we all do, which is that kind of traditional form of parenting, rewards and consequences. There may have been a little bit of shouting involved, quite a lot of shouting involved, and all of those things that we do when we're struggling as a parent, and you just think, I've got to stop this. And I didn't really get a lot of helpful help, if that makes sense. I got a lot of people telling me what to do, but nothing that actually helped. And obviously my son had experienced significant trauma and the grief of moving and all of that kind of stuff. So he'd been here about 9 months, and I got sent on this 1-day course. My social worker went, "You might as well go, no idea, it can't do you any harm." And it was one of those training days where you just sit there going, "Oh my God, this might work, oh my God." And I came away going, that was the best day, like, in a long time. It was amazing. And started implementing it just from what I could, what I could kind of remember and work out how to put into place. Started changing just so much. And my son was really quite violent when he moved in, and within, it took us about 9 months to stop it completely, and that was 4 years ago. And we just don't have that now. Yes, he's a teenager. I get the grumps. Okay, he's a teenager. Right now, he should be doing his homework, and I can tell you he's not, because I can hear him playing with his mates. And, so he's still a teenager, he's still a boy, and he's still doing what he wants to do. But at the same time, he is the most kind, caring, loving boy that he always was, but he didn't know how to express his emotions. Mm. So his emotions came out in ways that aren't ideal, let's put it that way. So I now work with families, birth families, adopted families, foster carers, schools, anybody who will listen, to be honest, to a certain extent, teaching this approach with families all over the UK and internationally, and just changing lots of families' lives, which sounds really kind of, well, you know, over the top. But like Maria was saying, sometimes the parents just need the help and the guidance to know what to do and to help their kid at home. And when they change, we know as parents, when we change, we see it in our children.
Yeah, of course.
You know, if we're the ones shouting and being cross and angry the whole time and triggered by everything, they feed off that, and that's their response. You know, if they're living in an angry environment, they're going to be more angry.
Of course.
And I was talking to a couple today, and the dad said, I've had a real light bulb moment, and I've realised I've just got to chill out about so much stuff that I'm getting stressed about. And he went,
wow.
The impact on the kids' behaviour is phenomenal. And I was like, yeah, it really is.
That's
what, you know, and he was like, it's me. Yeah. And I said, it's not you, as in don't blame yourself, because it's not about blame. I don't believe in blame. But we all do things because we live busy, stressful lives. So we come home and that stress comes out in family life, and then our kids respond to it. And if they've already got a trauma background or additional needs, they're more heightened to it anyway, and they're more likely to react in a you know, a stressful way.
Of course, of course.
So that's what I do.
And that's a beautiful way, isn't it, to be able to be a part of a family in whatever sort that is, because it's calming yourself down, which in itself is great for your own psyche, but then going out into the family, whether it's to the children, whether it's to your partner, whether it's to the dog, you know, it all works. That's wonderful. I love that story. Thank you, Sarah. Lorna, now I know you had a few years where you were actually bedridden and you had children to bring up. Tell us about that, and about how how you've implemented with what you know now in your everyday life.
Okay, so I had a number of severe health conditions, and I was significantly disabled for a number of years, over 5 years, completely bedbound. 2 separate 2.5 years actually. But much of it spanned a good sort of 2 decades, to be honest. There was about 5-6 years of real severe sort of bedbound and wheelchairs, indoor wheelchairs and various different aids. So I had to use, sorry, there's just somebody at the door. I'll be out in a minute. I'm just doing an interview at the moment.
Lorna, do you want to go?
Okay, sorry about that.
Do you want to go and say? You can go and say hello to them, and we can talk to Sarah.
It's okay.
Okay. All right.
It's okay. It's all right. Yeah. So I had to find different strategies, and by that time I was a single mum by that time. So I wasn't when I was first disabled, but I had to move into a situation where I was a single mum of 3 boys. So they were all under 7 at the time when I first got ill. So yes, I had to find different ways. I didn't have support. I didn't have a lot of support out with the 3 boys, to be honest. I had carers that came in, you know, but a lot of people didn't really know what to do with my health condition. There was just not much support available. However, I did find some strategies, and I did eventually find the right support, you know, in certain areas. But one of the things that I use is EFT, and that is a combination, a fusion of ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology. So basically, I use that in my work now. My experience and my healing that I did with my own, with myself, led me into becoming a holistic health practitioner, and also working with children in an environmental creative group that I set up. And a project managed for a couple of years. So it was basically I noticed there was quite a lot of things going on within schools. You know, there's quite a lot of bullying, and there was a lot of stressful behaviours with teachers and with parents. And one of the things that seemed to help was getting outdoors and creating. So I managed to get funding through, and it wasn't too long out of my wheelchair at this point, actually, and concentrated on this for a couple of decade ago. So yeah, different, so make willow structures, making clay bricks, own designs, trees, bulbs, to use in cooking.
All right.
And yeah, so I was a childminder. I had been a childminder previously and sold children's books to schools and nurseries. So this was another way. I always loved working with children, actually. Introduce things that aware of, you know, outdoor, and being able to do things, creative things outdoors. But what I was talking about with my therapy, children who were trauma, basically, because that's what I experienced in my life. So that's what I had to get over. A lot of my symptoms, I had 32 symptoms at one point, and my symptoms were, I would say, a manifestation of trauma, basically. You know, it took me a long time to find this out, but my all the systems in my body broke down, you know, and were dysfunctional. But I eventually did find out it led back to that, you know, and it caused my body to be vulnerable, caused my immune system to be vulnerable to viruses and different illnesses. It just caused so many problems. So I think people are drawn to you because of that, you know, and they know.
They can relate to what you are. That's wonderful. So you've helped, nature has been able to help you to get out there, and also working with it with the children as well, get them out into the wild woods, get their feet into the earth, and allow nature to bring it back. That's wonderful. Another beautiful natural way to get back into oneself. Thank you very much, Lorna. That was lovely. Sarah Parks, hello.
Oh, hi.
So you how to talk to kids. This is what you are passionate about, I believe. Do tell me, because I've not read that book and I didn't even know about it until you mentioned it. So tell me.
Okay. So how to talk so kids will listen, and listen so kids will talk. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a fabulous book that I came across, actually. I saw it in a bookshop on the shelf, and I was drawn to it. I don't know if you've ever had that, where something like you're just really drawn to it and you don't know why. This is before I had kids. I was working with in corporate settings, communication skills, and management, diversity, that sort of thing. All about communication, really. And the bit that really stood out to me was I read it, I was like, how to talk so kids will listen, and listen so kids will talk. And that's the key part to it. It's really about listening, about getting where they're at, really, you know, about understanding our children. And why they do the things they do, and understanding ourselves as well. So there's a whole amazing set of skills in the How to Talk So Kids Will Listen books that are all around sort of respectful parenting, and around communication, around understanding, like I say, our children and ourselves. And so I came to the book by I bought that book, and I literally put it on my bookshelf until I had kids. I didn't read it at the time. And then I picked it up when my daughter was probably about 8 months old, and read it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is great. And before having her, I'd been running community groups and doing the corporate training as well, but also running workshops in community settings. So it was quite natural for me to then, you know, I'm a great believer that, you know, you learn really well through teaching. So I read the book, and I thought a great way of keeping these skills alive in my life and implementing the skills would be to share them with other people. So that's when I started workshop groups, was when she was just over she was 2 probably when I actually started the groups. Yeah. So
how old is she now?
She is 10 now.
Wow, so that's been a wee while.
Yeah. So I've been working with parents to help them use those skills and other similar skills that are in alignment, really, that are really coming from that place of respect, coming from a place of nurturing the child as their own person, you know. And so things like the love languages skills. I'm also a coach, so an accredited coach, so I use my coaching training as well with the parents that I work with. So I run I've run in-person sort of groups and courses, and I've got some an online monthly kind of meetup group starting very soon, and online courses coming up as well. So
going back into what you just mentioned, was it laughter, what was it?
Love languages.
Love languages. What's that?
Oh, another amazing book. So the love languages, the premise of that really is that we all have, it's all about filling up our love tank, you know, how we like to, what makes us feel loved. So the guy who wrote the love language book, he originally worked with couples, and then he's written books for teenagers, for children, teenagers, you know, all sorts, men, women, all sorts. But I love the love languages skills as well, because it really helps us understand who we are, how we like to, what we need actually to feel loved, to feel, and so there are 5 different love languages that, and what he says is that we have a dominant one.
Oh, really?
So out of the 5, that we all have a dominant love language. So if you understand what they are, and if you understand what your dominant love language is, you can make sure that your cup as a parent is filled up, that you've got what you need,
I see.
and that you can meet your child's needs for feeling loved, feeling safe, by understanding how they like to feel loved. So I'll really quickly tell you the 5. So
yes, yes, I'd like to know. Yeah.
So there's 5 love languages. I'm doing this off the top of my head. So there's physical touch, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, and gifts. So they are the 5.
Right.
So, you know, if you understand how somebody likes to feel loved, you know, what makes them feel loved, then you can focus as a parent, you know, we don't have tons of time. There's so much going on. If you know what your child's main love language is, I always say to parents, work out what that is and start with that one to make sure they're filled up.
Oh, I like
make
that.
sure they feel loved, they know that they're loved. Because if their main love language is words of affirmation, and you never tell them that you love them, it doesn't matter how many presents you buy them, it doesn't matter how many hugs you give them, if you never actually tell them with words that you love them, they won't feel loved.
Wow.
And so it's the same for us. So, you know, and understanding our partners, you know. So if you know, if you're like I know my main love language is physical touch. You know, that's hugely important to me. So hugs, you know, if you meet me, if you've ever met me, you've probably had a hug from me. You know, I'm a hugger because that's how I express love, you know, and we tend to express love the way we want to receive it. Now in couples and with our children, there can be a mismatch, you know, between how we're expressing love and how our partner, for instance, wants to have it expressed. So and relationships can break down, you know, and it can be a way of repairing relationships. That's wonderful. And I've had people do my courses because I tend to over deliver when I do stuff. So when I do the How to Talk to Kids for Listen courses, you know, I'm so excited about things like the love languages. I just want to share things that I know will make a difference to people, that I know will help people. So I've had people completely transform their relationships from, you know, knowing about them, for instance.
In the comments box, pop that book in and the name of it, because I mean, I've written the book down, but just for everybody to know. That's great. I'm definitely going to get that book because I think that'd be really interesting. Thank you very much,
it's
Sarah.
fantastic. It's fantastic. And you know, if you don't have kids, there's one for you know, for couples
for
or
everyone. Yes,
yourself. You know.
Yeah. Maria, now I know you use flower essences. Do you use them with the children as well, or can you use them with children?
Yes, you can use them with children. They're quite safe to use with children, and you know, children, adults, people of all ages. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about flower essences, because yes, I know about them because I've been to your workshops and everything, but there's lots of people out there who don't know about flower essences.
Yes. So flower essences work on the emotional, so they help to bring us back into balance, and basically they are made from flowers that are immersed in spring water. So that's how they're made, and the sunshine, sunshine is used to help get the essence into the water, basically the vibration of the flower. Lovely. And different flowers have different vibrations and different qualities that may match the emotion that the person needs to work on. So for example, the flower blossom larch from the larch tree works on confidence. So if somebody's lacking confidence and not very self-assured, you would take larch to help to improve your confidence. So that would be an example of how a flower essence would help to bring you back into balance. So they're very subtle, they're very safe to use, and there's no side effects. So they're quite empowering actually, but in a very kind of subtle way. They can bring about change. Yeah.
And how would you give those to people?
Yeah, well, they come in liquid form, so they come like in a little dropper bottle. So you can take them in different ways. You can take a few drops on the tongue, or you can put them into any of your drinks. Or what's nice to do for children is to put a few drops into maybe a moisturizing cream and rub it into the soles of their feet. Because some children don't like taking things, so a nice way to do it is to rub it into the soles of their feet, and it'll work just as effectively. So you can use it that way, or you can put them into an essential oil dispenser and put that on so it goes around the room, or the child's in, or you can have it in a spray around the child's aura, around the child's body. It can work that way as well. So just different ways of taking essences. Yeah.
So if anybody's never actually come across a flower essence, you've maybe heard of, is it Bach or Bash?
Batch, yeah.
Batch, the Batch rescue remedy.
Yes.
That's well known, isn't it?
That's probably the best known one. So that's for kind of emergency situations. So that's the one to use for shock. If you've had a fright, you've been in an accident, or maybe you've had a bereavement, or you've got bad news. It's that sort of situation. Or it can be for things like, I took it when I was sitting my driving test for the 4th time. And was like a bundle of nerves, and I knew I was a competent driver, and a friend said to me, have you ever tried Rescue Remedy? And I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And you know, I passed my test. I just took took the edge off. I just felt much calmer,
Amazing.
you know, having taken it. So it's useful for things like, you know, if you've got a fear of flying, you want to be a bit calmer, or you're going for an interview. I've known people who've taken it before they go to an interview to help them feel a bit calmer, just calms the nerve. So Rescue Remedy has got 5 different flowers in it, of the Bach flowers, and it's a good kind of all-rounder in that kind of a situation where, you know, you're needing to feel a bit more calm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love them. I've had massive positive results using not just Rescue Remedy, but a couple of essences that you gave me yourself. I mean, I've got sort of light bulb moments with just using them.
Good.
So thank you very much, Maria. That's great to know about that. Sarah, Fisher.
One of you, you'll do.
Maybe Sarah.
I tell you what, it doesn't take much to confuse me. Where's that flower essence? I'm confused. I know you like to use connective when it comes to NVR, and it's a beautiful word, because you are connecting, and it's connecting too with in the subject we're talking about, to your child or to your children. But it's also connecting in energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you have a child, maybe whether it's in your practice or you're out and about, or an incident, give us an instance where you would use this.
Oh, crikey.
I know, big question.
It is a big question. I think for me, I worked in schools for, 12 years, something like that. And I worked in a very large secondary school for a vast majority of that. And it's really hard, even when if you're out doing lunch duty and there's, 700 or 800 kids around, they're all doing their thing. And of course they're secondary, so they're all up here as well. They're all much taller than you, and they're all like, yeah, I'm all right, But actually, if you go to them and just focus on connecting with them and engaging with them on their level, you have a very different conversation with them than if you just talk to them very differently. So even if it's just, I used to remember at the end of lunch, there was just litter everywhere. Yeah. There's kids, and the bin is all of 3 foot away, and that's a little bit too far to actually put that litter in the bin. And if you went up to them and went, get a pick the litter up, put it in the bin, they would just kind of go, yeah, right, Whereas if you say, guys, can you help me out? It would really help me. Would you mind? Here's the litter picker. And they loved the litter picker. If you gave them a litter picker, they'd spend hours picking up the litter. If you told them to bend down and pick it up, because the litter picker's a bit silly, it had a squeezy thing on the end. One of those long things with things, and it was just amusing to use. And if you kind of have a bit of a laugh and a joke, and you focus on collecting on their level, you get a totally different response from a child than when you going, well, I'm the adult and I'm going to do it like this, and this is how it's going to be. And you think, why do that? You do, because often it's our natural response, particularly when we're stressed.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it's your child, or you're out and about and your child's escalating, how many of us as parents want to have the last word as well? We feel like we're the parents, so I'm going to have the last word. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be really sexist and think that's more of a male thing. I hear it more from dads than I do from mums, but I hear plenty of mums actually telling me they've got to have the last word. And then it just becomes a battle of wills. Whereas actually, if you just say it doesn't matter who has the last word, really, it's not about that. No. It's about connecting and understanding what the child is going through. Because if they're distressed and you are just telling them off or telling them they've got to stop, you're not understanding their emotions in that moment and how they're feeling. And so they're actually escalating more, because they're even more like, I'm trying to tell you something's not right and you're not listening. And they're going to escalate more, which often escalates the parents more, which just creates even more of a big kind of, explosion-y thing that goes on at the end. Whereas if you can connect with them, say, I can see you're really, upset right now, or it's really hard, isn't it, when we have to leave the park and you want to carry on playing. Mm-hmm. Just empathizing with them, and they go, yeah, it is really hard and I don't want to go. As opposed to, we're going, come on, and kind of, doing that thing where you can see parents, can't you, half dragging their kids across the park, desperate to try and get them out. And the child's doing everything that they can to run back into the park, and the mum's getting more and more stressed as they've got different kids in different places. Oh, yes. And we've all seen it. There's a brilliant video actually of a I don't know what sort of monkey it is. That sounds awful. And it's the mum monkey and the little kid, and the little baby one is just running around all over the place. And the mum literally has to keep running back and grabbing it by the arm and dragging it back in the right direction. As this little monkey's like, no, I'm going in this direction. And I thought, how common is that in the park? When as mums, we're trying to get our kids to leave, and our child is like, no, the swing's much more fun. If you get down on their level and talk to them, you're going to get a different reaction than if you get really cross because they're not doing what you tell them to do in that precise moment in time.
Yeah.
And yes, it might take a couple of minutes longer, but it's so much better for everybody. And it just builds a much stronger relationship than building this kind of, I don't know, control relationship between the parent and the child. If we're aiming for control, it just doesn't help in the long run.
No, because children, I mean, they're creating their own personalities. That's what it's all about. And because it doesn't suit us for them to do whatever it is we want them to do. And, 9 times out of 10, it is like exactly that. You've been in the park long enough. Come on, want to go home, get out tea. But for them, they think, they have this urge. It's a survival urge because they are, this is me, this is my personality. And what I usually do, 9 times out of 10 it works, is what I'll say to my children and my grandchildren now, okay, 5 minutes, or I'll give them 10 minutes and then we're going to go. And then it'll sort of go down to 5 minutes and they'll still push it. Yeah. But then I'll say, look, come on, we've really got to get back. And eventually they will. Sometimes, they're walking along and their face is all dripping and that. But they know that. And I think it's nicer for them, isn't it? It's it's so much more calming because again, children like us, we like to feel to be loved. Is to be cared for.
We also want to be listened to. So if our kids are trying to communicate something and they might not have the words to communicate it, but if they feel like we're brushing their feelings under the carpet and kind of going, I don't care how you feel, we're leaving the park, that's kind of saying they're not that important. And not unintentionally, but we're kind of saying how you feel isn't important right now. You just got to do what you've got to do. As if we say, do you know what, I know it's really hard. They're being listened to, and I think that's so important. And I speak to so many parents who don't think they matter because they weren't listened to as kids.
Well, that's what it is. It's just how, and it's re-educating everyone. So let's get on to a couple of questions because, funnily enough, we've actually been sitting here chatting for 45 minutes. No surprises there. We are women. So there's a question from Amy. And I'll read it out exactly how she's written this. And she's got something I'm starting to come across is children hitting other kids. This week at 2 different playgroups, my baby has been slapped and punched by other kids. My questions are, first one is, how do you speak to the other child to tell them it's bad? Sarah Parks, how would you answer that?
Okay, well, I think a starting point, I suppose, is about language and judgment. So I wouldn't tell any child that they're bad or that what they have done is bad. Yeah. So that's just something to be aware of. Is the language you so we want to talk skills. But the behaviour managed as well in that. So it's really important. It's that we're talking about action behaviour rather than judging it, or if that makes sense. So in response to how, I would say to another child what I would say also to my own child, which is I would give them information, which is hitting hurts, which it does, hitting or biting or whatever, punching, hitting hurts. And we don't do that basically. So I mean, in the situation where if I was in, you know, a play group like that, then I would obviously comfort my own child if they've just been hit or what have you, you know, and give them a stroke and, you know, yeah, have them, you know, feel, you know, give them a bit of sympathy as well. And if, I know this lady also asked about if my child had hit another child, for instance, you know, I would, you know, what I say to my children is, you know, there is absolute no hitting, you know, and I would say things like, you know, so because in those situations often it might be over a toy or something, you know, in these playgroup situations, two kids want to play with the same toy, for instance, and if you know, and so they push or they shove or they hit or whatever because they want to get the toy or what have you. So I would say something like, even though you really want to play with that toy and there's only one, we still need to be gentle with each other. Yeah. So that they understand, you know, that, you know, that behavior is not okay. Basically, it's not okay. And I would also give, you know, if my child has hit another child, you know, I'd let them know, you know that that's not okay. And also I would give that other child, you know, make sure they're okay, find their parent or, you know, the playgroup leader or whatever, and make sure they're okay. And actually, you know, make sure that I give them a bit of comfort, you know, to say, oh gosh, that was sore, or, you know,
really good.
Hitting doesn't feel nice, things like that. But I think
that's what to do. So
yeah, and having go-to phrases that you can use can be really helpful. Like, even though you're feeling really angry, we still use words.
Perfect.
You know,
excellent.
Things like that. So having these go-to phrases, I think, can be incredibly helpful.
Just got to get in there and just sort of just show them the things. So we have another question where Lorna is going to help us here. It's from Kez, and Kez was crying out, and Kez, I know you won't mind me saying that, but crying out for, her question is, I wish I could get some answers on my son. Now, we don't know the ins and outs. We don't need to know the ins and outs. It's not for us to know. But Lorna, you are an intuitive, and I know you've got something that you'd like to say to Kez.
So we don't have a lot of information, but I just feel something there with that. And I think when it comes to teenagers, is about trying to understand where the brain doesn't get fully developed till we're around 25. So when in the teenage years, the brain's rewiring, and it's not the same as, not thinking the same as an adult. So it's coming from the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational, you know, with adults, it's the rational part, we're thinking, you know, the prefrontal cortex. With teenagers, it's more of the emotional side, you know, it's the emotional, so you're getting a lot of the emotions coming out. So it's the amygdala, the part of the brain that really responds. So that's why you get all this behavior that's very emotional, you know, that's not fair, and, you know, all these different things going on. So I think it's about us sort of understanding that reaction isn't, you know, the same as the type of reaction we would have, you know, and just trying to understand. And I think that's the same with children of any age. It's about trying to feel into where they're at, you know, and remember what it was like. And you know, because often we forget as adults, you know, and we have to take ourselves back there and just remember how confusing it is. And all the different challenges of every age, and what we've grown into being able to sort of hopefully deal with these things. Just going back there and just putting yourself in their shoes. And there's a lot of challenges And especially nowadays, you know, there's a lot of challenges that, you know, we didn't have. You know, we had different types of challenges, obviously, but there's a lot of added pressure, and especially at that age, you know.
Yes.
And so certainly there's a lot of things that I do with adults and children with EFT, and that really helps with emotional responses to things, and things that actually help to diffuse that response, so you don't have the physiological and physical how can you say it, you know,
thoughts and feelings and sensations.
Yeah, it doesn't affect you the same, so it diffuses it, you know, it diffuses the situation. So EFT tapping is what I use with parents and children.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well for them to be able to understand it as we build dialogue, you know, and you know, talk and we get to know each other, and we build the dialogue around why they feel that way, and for them to understand that.
Yeah, it
really
is. It's a good way.
And
so,
the tapping,
I mean,
you know.
So to Cares, we, you know, any of us are here to message. I know, Sarah Fisher, you have an excellent free Facebook group where, I mean, I'm in there, and also a paid one. I know Sarah has a paid one as well, and I am so surprised and gobsmacked at what you guys, I mean, whether this happened in my day, I don't know. I was lucky that my children, you know, they were okay. They were relatively okay, but then they could go out, and actually I remember they tell me I allowed them to go down and play near the river. Oh Lordy, I did. I must have. But if that had happened now, it'd be, oh my, panic.
Bless.
Oh God, I know, but you know, that's still, well. So that's one case. That's one place to go to, is message Sarah Fisher there. Join her group. It's a fabulous, fabulous group. There is tons of support there. There's also these other lovely ladies on the panel who have ways, who have methods, who have ideas that can help you.
I have a Facebook group as well, so I can put the link in the comments as well.
There's another, yes, and Maria, you have you know, you have ways too, how you can help, and of course, and Lorna as well. We're all there. You are not alone. In fact, anybody who is watching this, no matter what you're going through in any form, you are not alone. If you don't want to reach out to any of us or anybody else in the group, then go and see actually I would say go to your doctor. That would be my first. Would everybody agree, or do you have a different instant?
My only hesitation depends on what it is and what your doctor's like.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So there you go. So you'll know yourself. So maybe, Cares, at this moment in time, you know, message one of us, and we'll take it from there. So what we're going to do for the last 5-10 minutes here is, I know you all have your own businesses. You're all willing to, you all have events, workshops, courses. So let's do a little bit round to be able to let everybody know what it is that you can offer. Let's start with Maria, because you're up in my left-hand corner.
Right. So I offer one-to-one sessions with individuals, with parents and children, but I also offer workshops as well if people want to find out more about working with flower essences and how flower essences can help with emotional well-being. So they're the sort of two ways that I help. I have a Facebook page called Empowering Sensitive Children, where I put up posts about different essences that might help for different situations in terms of emotional well-being. Yeah.
Excellent. And we're going to segue over to Sarah Fisher, because Sarah is going to tell us about her conference, when the reason why we're segueing is because Maria and moi are doing workshops at Sarah's conference on the 21st of September. So over to you, Sarah.
Brilliant, thank you. So yeah, so one of the things I do is the Connected Parenting Conference, and it happens 3 times a year, and the next one is next Saturday. It's getting scarily close and I'm very excited. I get to come up to Edinburgh for the weekend, which is lovely. And it's on Saturday, so a week on Saturday, and we've got 12 workshops happening over a whole range of different topics, so that as parents, I know what it was like for me as a parent. I didn't always know what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And actually to go to lots of different workshops on different days and find out about it and physically get there just wouldn't work, particularly as a single parent. I found it really hard. So what I've done is created the conference so that you can choose 4 different workshops. The parents can choose the 4 workshops that connect for them, what they need at the time. So there's lots on, as you guys know, we've got things on sensory and managing emotions and helping your children, and sleep issues and managing those meltdowns. I'm doing that, and parenting teenagers and all of those things, so that if you're kind of thinking, oh, my child is melting down all the time and I don't know how to help them with their emotions, you can book the workshops that are relevant to you.
Excellent.
So we've got that running next Saturday, and there's a special offer for everybody who's in this group. If they use the word now on the checkout, when they get to the end, they'll get their tickets slightly cheaper. So it'll be just 80 quid.
Oh, good. And there's teas, coffees and food, isn't there?
Yes, all food is provided. So you get, the Marriott Hotel do amazing food. They do the best cakes on the planet. It's worth coming just for the cakes. And they love it. So yeah, there's snacks all day. There's food, literally, there'll be more food than you can, shake a stick at. A nice lunch turns up. And then, there's tea, coffee and refreshments just available all day. So you don't need to bring anything with you. It's a lovely day of,
super.
As one parent said to me, it's a day of self-care and confidence building and toolkit building.
Yeah.
So you leave having relaxed, but with loads more tools in your toolkit.
Excellent. And the 3 of us are on my screen here. The 3 of us are on the top there. We've got Maria, me, and then Sarah. So, and we're all there. And Lorna, you're way up in Arbroath, aren't you?
Yes, yes. So
Yes.
I do one-to-one sessions, as I say. So I do 8 different therapies. But I bring these all into wellbeing workshops as well now. So some of the workshops that I've done previously are for anxiety. So we make a little aromatherapy rollerball anxiety, pulse point aroma. We do EFT for anxiety, drinks for anxiety. One of the recent ones was making superfood chocolates with gluten-free, processed sugar-free. So we're trying to find different, we're finding different sweeteners, natural sweeteners rather than processed sugar.
Excellent.
So
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. So the children, there was children and adults both. There was, so just trying to find other fun ways of cooking and things to introduce foods sort of from the naturopath side of it. That are going to be interesting to make, that are going to be fun to make, because kids love helping making food.
Oh, yeah.
They love it,
Yes.
So, just finding colourful ways of, fun ways, and other substitutes, so that we're not having ease and we're not having processed sugar, There's plenty of different ideas. I also do art. So I'm an artist as well. So some of the workshops are surrounding writing, poetry and art, and, other things that are stress relieving and just creative. And it's a very good way, because I found with children as well, actually doing art, it's a very good way of getting their emotions out.
Oh God, yes.
Because EFT with children is quite different from doing EFT with adults. And you've got to find other ways of helping them get their emotions out. And it's absolutely great sometimes doing drawings, songwriting, poetry, different things like that. And then you can start making a story, and then you ask them questions about this story, and that can bring out, things that will help them with their traumas and their anxieties and bullying and things like that. Because it's not always obvious to them, and they find it difficult to explain certain things. and sometimes just writing it down and using other techniques to get their emotions out, because that's the one big thing. We want to get these emotions out.
Absolutely.
Don't want them all trapped inside.
No.
You know, and we want them to know that it's okay to express themselves. We don't have to destroy things to do that. You know, there's creative ways.
Yeah, excellent. So pop it off at all at your workshops, pop them in. So Sarah, what if it's Sarah Parks, what have you got on the go?
So, well, like I mentioned, I've got a Facebook group, a free Facebook group that people can connect with called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen UK. And so there's tips and different things going on in there. And I'm starting this online parenting circle. So that's a discussion group that'll be happening once a month. Okay. So the first one's on the 4th of October, so that'll be coming up. And a little later in October, I will be running an online How to Talk So Kids Will Listen course as well, which is really great for getting to know the skills, learning how to use them and implement them in your everyday life. So I will be doing that as well. I also do one-to-one sessions. I do coaching sessions as well. So there's different ways that you can connect with me and work with me. Right. If that's what you want to do. So
absolutely. Well, I've put all the links in the box. They're sitting there now. I've been sufficiently organized to have it all and copied and pasted it. So if you ladies want to go and just check, I think I've got them right, but if they're not, then obviously tell me, or put your own links in the comments box, and anything that you've got coming up, any help, you know, just anything you can think of, basically. So I want to thank all you guys here on this panel for coming along willingly, and I didn't have to twist anybody's arms, which was really quite nice, you know, because it's the first time, and I think we've done really well, to be honest. I'm impressed. And anybody and everybody who is there now, I still haven't got the phone to be able to tell me what's what. If there's any comments, we'll see them and we will answer them. And anybody who's watching on replay, again, anything you want to ask, you know, there's no question too small or too big or too daft or too silly. Just ask us. So we're going to love you and leave you, Facebook guys, and catch you. There will be another panel discussion. This is going to be in October, and this particular topic is going to be around business. So it's going to be things like how you can create Canva, LinkedIn, what else was it? Oh, I don't know. There's far too much going on. I'll put it in a post. But for the moment, everybody in now, thank you very, very much for being here, and with lots and lots of love.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Now, I've stopped the live stream, so we're not. I don't think we're on there. Well,
that's so cool. It was on my screen. It says, you know, Facebook Live on the screen.
Yes, so cool. We're ended.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. So we can sit back and get out the drink.
Did you see? Did you know you lost me for about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Did you see?
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I lost the internet connection.
Mine played up a few times and I couldn't hear you properly. So it should have, I mean, I better stop the recording, listen.